Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Rule 34 Podcast, Season 2. I'm your host, Jack, joined by my fellow guest.
It's Mr. Solis.
All right, sir. How have you been since the last time we've met?
I'm better, Jack, because the kids are gone and it's winter break. I traded one headache for another, so now that the kids are all gone, I can focus on my Christmas shopping. We are about 4 days away from the big day, and I'm still at it. Yeah. You're hearing me come to you live from my car in the parking lot of Frank & Sons Collectibles.
Oh, my friends have told me about that place.
It's a great place, Jack, if you've never been.
Yeah, they actually went for me because this was during the time I was recovering from foot surgery, and they wanted me to go, but I couldn't. And so I told them, make the trip out for me. And I told one of my friends, I'm like, hey, if you want, take pictures of stuff you think I'd like, and then let me know, and then I'll just, give you the money when you come to drop it off. And that's what we did.
Sure. Yeah, I'm on the hunt for a Bulbasaur. That thing's proving, like a stuffed Bulbasaur, that thing's proven to be harder to find than, in-game.
Funny enough, we actually have a stuffed Bulbasaur.
Yeah.
And I believe the story behind it, as my dad likes to tell, is that, you know how my dad used to work, many years ago at Universal?
I think I knew that.
Yeah, so they had, one of these, one of those, things set up where you can, play the game to earn a prize.
Mm-hmm.
And he played it, and what he wanted to get was a Blastoise stuffed, and it was a big one. I think its shell was made of leather almost, I want to say.
Ooh.
So it was real good. And then here comes Marco saying that he wanted the small little Bulbasaur plush instead.
How funny. Yeah, my sisters told me too that my niece has one that she may sell me. But Jack, in addition to it being winter break for me, it's final seasons for you. How is it going?
I think I finished finals actually earlier than a lot of other people.
Right on.
I think, trying to remember, I think my finals actually ended 2 weeks ago.
Oh, got it. Well, cool then.
Yeah, because I get 3 weeks of break, so I'm in my second week, and I go back on the 3rd of January real early.
That makes sense. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, but they went pretty well for me. I'm confident in a lot of the work I put in.
That's great. Glad to hear.
Yeah.
And is this as a art history major, or did you never make that change?
I haven't made that change because there's prerequisites, but I'm still debating between that and regular history. I'm trying to see what's the true one I want to go into.
I got you.
But and then next quarter I go on campus finally.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting schedule to work out with my pops, but it's gonna involve,
as far as commute goes.
Yeah, it's gonna involve waking up real early to leave at the same time he does, and a lot of walking around campus waiting for classes to start.
That sounds great. A pretty neat opportunity to get the lay of the land and check the place out.
Yeah, and this time with finally a fully healed foot.
All right.
But so,
Jack, I just want to say, it's one of my life's regrets. It'll stand there as what I hope, or what I wish I'd have done. I wish we had created some sort of hype package for you in this semester. Set to Creed. What was it? Is it not Weathered? You know which one I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah.
I wish we just put a bunch of pictures together or a bunch of videos of you in physical therapy or just going to the doctors, and you would have hated it. You would have hated the camera, but it would have been great because it would have been black and white in the beginning and then color at the end. Shots of you walking the campus. Hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the edge and I'm thinking maybe 6 feet ain't so far down.
Yeah, the final shot could have been me making those first steps onto the campus, and all you hear in the background is 10, 9, 8, and then when it hits 0, you hear the buzzer from the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Royal Rumble, we know that's coming up soon. Obviously, first before that is the Day 1 pay-per-view, though.
Mm-hmm.
Which is setting up to have both rematches, but also interesting story points to it. But obviously, before we get to that, no more pay-per-views of the year. So you're probably wondering, what are we doing here? No, we're not reviewing Monday Night Raw.
Nope.
We are here to give our top 10 matches of the year.
I'm excited, Jack. I'm pretty excited about my list.
Yeah, I actually had a lot more struggle to put together my list than I thought I would have.
I put it together pretty quickly. One honorable mention that didn't make the cut, the Okada Buddy Matthews match that happened in November. I finally sat down to see it, and it was good, but it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I get you. I had a couple. I know Sami Zayn and KO had like a last man standing match on a SmackDown, like a random episode of SmackDown for Money in the Bank qualifying. And it was good, but again, it happened on the weekly show with a ton of commercial breaks,
Yeah. So. And this is probably the best time we could say NWA had a great year, GCW had a great year, Impact had a pretty good year, and these are all shows that I didn't watch. AEW, the weekly shows, I have no ability to watch. So there's a ton of matches that could have made this list that didn't make this list because I didn't see them.
Yeah, there's a ton that I was looking back on. There is one, again, another honorable mention. It's from Stardom, and it's a match between their main champ Utami and challenger Sayuri, I think is how you pronounce it. But it's on the honorable mention because I've seen so many people talk good about it. It happened earlier in the year, but I can't get myself to sit through and watch it because it's super long. And I don't have an issue against super long matches, but it's something that's tough to sit there and completely digest. I watched last week's episode of AEW. I was mainly watching just to see if anything
for Winter is Coming, you mean?
Yeah, I mainly watched it to see if maybe certain debuts or certain things are gonna happen. And I just remember sitting there watching Hangman and Danielson go at it, and I was they're really gonna go the full hour, aren't they? After we hit the 30-40 minute mark, and I was they're really gonna let them go the hour.
Did you see the meme, Jack, of Kenny Omega, and it's Bryan Danielson going, couldn't beat me in 30 minutes. And then it's Hangman, he goes, couldn't beat me in 60 minutes. And then they show Sheamus, and then he's real mad.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are my mentions, and then I do want to mention this one just because I remember we brought it up when we were recovering the pay-per-view. Do you remember Kushito versus Gargano at the start of the year?
No, I don't. But now that you mention it, it sounds... Yes, I do. And then you know what I'm remembering even clearly? How much Kushida should have won that match.
Yeah, you even stated it yourself in that episode how we're gonna be discussing top 10 matches at the end of the year, and someone's gonna bring up Kushida Gargano, and the reason it not being there is because Kushida should have won.
That's incredible. Yes, consistency. Yes. Well, yeah. Jack, I'm excited because my match is so... Just randomly, Jack, I put matches on a list, and I only had to change one or two to make it the order makes sense, but I got 2 NXT, 2 New Japan, 2 AEW, 2 SmackDown, and then I think the last 2 are split between Raw and an indie promotion that you'll hear me describe. All
right, I'm ready to hear it all, sir. We'll start off again. I think the way we did it last year, we again went off, who's 10, and if we had a match similar, we'd just real quickly say where we had it placed.
Got it.
If it was any different. All right.
You start us off, Jack, at number 10.
At number 10, I have a match from Stardom. Again, their champion Utami facing off against her fellow stablemate Azumi. And I really liked the story because it was essentially Azumi's the younger member, and even though a crazy part I found out, she's technically, like, she apparently has been wrestling since, like, 13. And it was, like, the biggest mind flip to me because I only found this out because I saw that she had posted first I saw Stardom posted that like she had turned 18 or 19, I forgot what it was, and that she herself posted that she finally graduated from high school. And I was like, and this was while I was in my first year of college, and so I was like, wait, what? And that's when I searched it all up, and I was like, she's younger than me. She's been wrestling since like 13 almost. So she's still technically, since younger than most of the other roster. So she's like the rookie in a sense, going against her the leader of their stable, and like they really play up that like essentially mentor rookie storyline throughout it. And
I gotcha.
Having to keep up with such a faster paced rookie. And just a really good match, and it was kind of their version of the G1 as well, so it was just a really good long match, but really good, filled with a lot of good spots.
I hear you. That sounds great. And who won?
Utami.
Ah. Got it.
I think she just recently hit 400 days as champion. So she's been holding it for a while. I think the match she won it in was my number 2 or 3 last year. Oh, no, it was number 3, I remember.
Okay.
And how about you, sir? What's your number 10?
My number 10 is going to come at you from left field, Jack. It is from Fastlane in March. It's Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton in the Inferno. Was it an Inferno match?
I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't. It was just a straight-up one-on-one. But Alexa Bliss brought her spookiness to evoke a bunch of flames, huh?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I picked this match, Jack. Looking back at the year, I just think that, like, all that interaction between Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss, it's something WWE does. It's like, yeah, but it's not going to pay off. It's not like he's going to fight a manager or fight a woman. And they did it, Jack. They actually did it. And I don't know, there's something about the commitment to that bit that I really appreciated. And they went all out. And a lot of people complain about the, like, over-the-top nature of the whole thing. But this was before they ruined The Fiend, and he was still good. He came back charred, and Alexa Bliss won. The best part of that match, Jack, is that it ends, that she pins Randy Orton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there was a time, Jack, if you remove your cynicism and you put them big old rose-colored glasses, there was a time in March when everything was working, and everything made sense, and everything was building up to something. And then WrestleMania happened, but we're not going to talk about that. And then releases happened, and we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, I would definitely say that is a pick out of left field, but that is an interesting yet funny choice as well.
I wanted the 10th to be something of the caliber of last year's 10th, which I think was like a garbage GCW match between the Invisible Man and the Invisible Dude. You remember that?
I think it was actually your number 10 was the one where it was the socially distanced match.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right on. Cool. We're hitting the ground running. Who's number 9, Jack?
For number 9, I have from TakeOver Stand and Deliver, Santos Escobar versus Jordan Devlin, the Cruiserweight Unification Ladder match.
Wow, that's a good shout.
Yeah, so while doing this, because I knew I wasn't going to have the time to rewatch all the matches, I just decided to maybe look up highlights just to like see where, because for the most part, my 10 was kind of almost set in place. I just needed to figure out, where I was ranking each of the 10 matches after I decided. And so I watched highlights to try and decide that. And, just rewatching this, I just remembered, like, a lot of the hype points of this match. There was, just the Spanish flies off the ladders, I'm pretty sure. I think there was Devlin doing a moonsault off the ladder. That final spot where he gets pushed off the ladder and just perfectly falls into the ladder that perfectly snaps in two immediately. There was, Legado coming in and beating up Escobar, thinking that was going to be the easy win for or beating up Devlin, thinking that was going to be the easy win for Escobar. You know, and it's just also a match that shows the craziness of the pandemic here, seeing as how it took a while for Devlin to make his way back to the States to have this type of unification match with technically interim champion Escobar.
And shout out to the WWE. They don't do it a lot, but here there's like consistent booking around, the championships. That's like an interim champion. The champion comes back and calls foul. It's good stuff. Grounded in like something you can believe in.
Yeah. And so, great match, but not better than anything above it, but still a really great match that utilized its stipulation well.
Agreed. That was it was so good to remember that match happened. And your number 9 is better than my number 9, but mine comes close. But it's also from NXT. It's from NXT TakeOver 36. It's Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight for the $1 Million Championship. Now, this isn't the ladder match that decided who would win the $1 Million Championship for the first time in a long time. This was the match that followed. And I liked it more because Cameron Grimes wins. And I think if my memory serves me right, he wins with a cave-in that looks better than any cave-in he's ever hit.
Yeah.
And Ted DiBiase's involvement was like perfect. Perfect for the older guy, but he still gets in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember the spot where I think he throws the $1 million belt into the ring to like distract the ref, and that's when he locks in the $1 million dream on LA Knight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that first match was good too, and LA Knight winning was good. And like the story that they told up to this point, I realized played a big part in my enjoyment of a match. So this was like a very warm, fuzzy ending to a really cool story they told over the summer.
Yeah, and I think the payoff was even better where I think we aired concerns like, if it's going to stay as a permanent belt, is NXT going to suffer from the too many belts issue? And I think the payoff was just perfect where he gives it back to DiBiase. Where DiBiase's like, no, you can keep it. And then he goes, wait, well, this one's kind of lighter than before. And DiBiase kind of drives off, and that's when he turns it around and it says replica title from WWEshop.com.
And what a funny plug for WWEshop.com.
Yeah, very good. And, I think so far our picks have shown that the storylines that go into a match matter just as much as the match itself.
Agreed.
What about, all right, number 8? So this is going to be very surprising, but when making the list, originally when I was doing my top 10, I was realizing, hey, you're gonna make yourself look like a fool on the podcast with how much you talk up tag team wrestling, but you don't have a tag match on here.
Wow, goodness. So, do you have a tag team match, Jack, to enter into the 4A?
Yeah, the tag match I have is from TakeOver Stand and Delivered. After Lorcan and Birch, they had to relinquish those titles due to injury. The triple threat between the Grizzled Young Vets, Legado del Fantasma, and MSK for the titles.
Wow. Yeah. I remember that match. Ooh, all the double, what do you call them?
The double team moves?
Yes. All of the double team moves.
Yeah, I just remember, and again, it was the story going into it, sure, it was kind of short, being that, the champions relinquished, but it was really good because it was here's 3 teams that realistically deserved a shot at the titles. Here are 3 teams who could realistically win the title. MSK coming off their Dusty Classic win. Grizzled Young Vets coming off the loss in those finals. And Legado, with the story being, are they going to do the stable holds all the gold type thing?
Right.
Very good story there. And, just great action all around from all 3 teams. Especially when it was, especially because it was very diverse in a sense, even though all 3 kind of have maybe similar styles to, nowadays standards, they're still also very different in ways, and they really played up the differences between the 3 teams in this match, and just really great overall.
Agreed. And you definitely got the sense that, you know, one of the two Dusty Classic finalists were going to win.
Yeah.
But regardless of that idea, Legado del Fantasma never let themselves be forgotten throughout that match.
Yeah, I remember, I think we even said it on that episode of recording, a review for Stand and Deliver. We even said, I think I said, it, when I heard Legado was announced, I just thought they were going to take the pin. And I can't remember if they did or not, but throughout that match, they really proved that, hey, we're not here to just take the pin. We're still a really good tag team nonetheless.
Yeah, like, and there were spots, too, where, like, MSK and Grizzly Young Vets are, like, staring each other down or, like, you know, trying to do something to deal with the other, and then Legado comes in. You know, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, like, don't forget us. It's a big old move. Good shout, sir. Goodness gracious. Again, how nice to relive that match.
How about your number 8 pick, sir?
Mine, you will not have seen. It is from about 2 weeks ago, December 9th. New Japan Strong Nemesis actually occurred, Jack, in L.A.
I think I might have missed that.
But you saw the ads for it, maybe.
Yeah.
It's definitely like in the New Japan Strong kind of series.
Yeah.
Because it was all their strong guys, Tom Lawler, all those filthy animals, blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't going to go to it, Jack. It was like the week before the last week of school on a Thursday night, but they announced Eddie Kingston was going to be there. And I said, all right, let's go. So my number 8 is Eddie Kingston versus Gabriel Kidd. Jack, I found myself with a lot of matches that just amount to two men slapping the mess out of each other. And I'm like, I have a thing. So I picked the best of them all, and Eddie Kingston going up against Gabriel Kidd, a guy who went and studied under Shibata at the LA dojo. You know what I mean? Like, did his time. He's going to bring the New Japan Strong style to a guy who's all about all Japan. And it was so good. And it was something about the light hitting them. All of their sweat, all of the COVID was just like, you know, it was like fireworks happening, Jack. It was so good. And all of the suplexes. Eddie Kingston wins, of course. And he does so in the only way he can, flipping off Gabriel Kidd while he's down on the ground. It was incredible, Jack.
Yeah, that sounds like a great match. I'll probably have to catch it. I know I heard about Eddie Kingston appearing on New Japan Strong, but I must have missed, like, you know, a majority of the advertisement for that show.
And I got to tell you, Jack, I also put this match here to tell you two things. One, Jonah fought that night, too.
I totally forgot about it.
I saw Jonah versus Juice Robinson, which was a wild match. Didn't make the top 10. But number 2, Jack, that those guys are all coming back in February to fight in the same building.
Ooh.
On Vermont.
Vermont is actually a street near me.
Of course it is, Jack. I thought of you the second they announced the card. It was like 12 matches. I was like, oh, dang. But yeah, it was like a good time, man. Just putting it out there, just planting the seed. Jonah, he was there. Wasn't selling merch, wasn't shaking hands. That'd have been cool.
Yeah, and, you know, bringing that up, too, I think something interesting to bring up, too, is also that, I believe PWG is having their, Battle of Los Angeles soon?
Mm-hmm, Battle of LA.
Yeah, and then,
I
think Jonah was announced for that, too, as well as, I think, Lee Moriarty. There's, like, a couple guys being announced so far.
Agreed.
Yeah, and, I didn't know about that one, but I did know about another show, my number 7, from New Japan Strong Emergence, Ishii versus Moose.
Yes.
Yeah, I have this one at my number 7. I remember as soon as I saw this match, there was a couple other matches too, but I remember seeing this match announced. I was like, man, I'm going to have to catch that like whenever it happens. And I just remember watching it happen, and, you know, I don't think I ever thought Ishii was that short until he stood next to Moose, and that was just like a crazy like size difference, you know. And it was definitely a match that I almost want to say I wouldn't have expected, You know, especially because though Moose has greatly developed, especially during his time in Impact, it wasn't a match I specifically expected, especially for like Moose to show up in New Japan. But was it a match.
It's one of those matches, Jack. This year, we've talked and joked around about the Forbidden Door, but never in a million years would you have ever thought Moose was going to fight Ishii. You know what I mean? It's a dream match caliber setup that only happened because people started doing business with one another this year.
Yeah, and it's interestingly funny. I just thought of it right now. It's like they started doing business and like collaborations in a year where there's a ton of restrictions with collaboration and traveling and stuff. So
yeah, right.
The most interesting year for it to take place.
But this is a great match to shout out, Jack. And it's not on my list, and it got beaten out of my list by the Eddie Kingston match. I thought, nope, this is a big group of men slapping each other silly. That one was good, and what pushed it over the edge was I was closer to the ring to the Eddie Kingston match, and I was less annoyed by the people in the Eddie Kingston match. Jack, I'm becoming so frustrated with wrestling fans, and I don't want to hear the, I paid my ticket, I could do it. Oh, I want to hurt him so bad, Jack.
I get you, man. Wrestling fans this year have, it's almost in a sense you look at it and go, man, maybe those months where wrestling fans weren't in the building were a good thing.
And so I trust the performer, Jack. I need them. And Eddie Kingston is just that kind of guy where the only thing anybody had to say was, let's go, Eddie. Or, Eddie's gonna kill you. Or, when Gabriel Kidd slapped Eddie Kingston, you blanked up. You blanked up.
How about your number 7?
My number 7 is, in the spirit of our Forbidden Door talk, Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage for the GCW Championship in a death match. That happened in July. Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder, coming in as the WWE guy. And, proclaiming himself as an interloper to the GCW rabid crowd. He comes out in white, Jack. White. It was so good because what was going to happen. He's going to get doused in his own blood. And all of the foray, all of the deathmatchness, all of the weapons and the light tubes and the wrestling action figures in a glass case. And how does it end? Ricky Shane Page comes out as if to defend the honor of GCW, only to turn his back on his foe, turned friend, turned foe again. Ricky Shane Page has that, smile. You're like, oh, you're so gross and slimy and just the worst. So no one was surprised by him turning on Nick Gage and costing him the GCW Championship. And then everything that happened afterwards was incredible.
Yeah, I remember seeing all those videos of the all the posts about Cardona winning, all the videos of the crowd going crazy and throwing stuff into the ring. Yeah, I
that
definitely
guy's
heard
had an incredible year.
Yeah, and GCW's emergence into I want to say almost the mainstream, despite the type of wrestling that they do. It's just really beneficial because again, there's the Forbidden Door stuff, but with all the releases happening, it just creates another place for people to go, and get work and try out different styles,
Yeah.
Great. I heard a lot about that. I saw especially clips of it, and especially just how bloody it got for Cardona as well. And
the lead up to it, right? Zack Ryder and Matt Cardona challenging them and Nick Gage the way that he did. It got me hook, line, and sinker, Jack. I'm like, I need to download Fight TV. This is a thing I need to see. And that whole card was great. Of course it was great. But and this match, the fact that he won, you know what I mean? It was so good. You felt like you were a part of something special when you watched that.
Yeah, I get you. And similarly, feeling a part of something special as you watch something, though it didn't happen on a stage that people wanted to see it on, or a grander stage that people would have expected it to take place on. My number 6 is Minoru Suzuki versus Bryan Danielson on the Rampage buy-in.
Wow. So, Jack, I'm going to tell you right now that this match happens on my list, but it happens later. I won't say when, but this is exciting.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think I remember saying it in one of our episodes that out of all the places it could have happened, I was, in a sense, happy that it was happening on YouTube for the sole reason that there was going to be no ads, no commercials, no cuts. It was just going to be straight through for however long they wanted the men to go to. And they went for, I want to say, 20 minutes of just pure violence. And the violence in the kind of not bloody or weapons or stipulations. And the violence of Minoru Suzuki just smacking Danielson in the head straight to the floor.
So good. And I was like with you, Jack. I'm excited. It's on YouTube. It's free. I can watch it. I don't need cable. But I was worried they weren't going to get enough time. I was like, okay, this is going to be a real TV match. But when the first two matches happen and they happen quick, you think, oh, they have to be carving out a whole bunch of time for Suzuki versus Danielson. And they did. And it was incredible.
Yeah, it was really great. You know, it was a dream match, you know. I can't recall if they faced each other before, but if they had, then this was, in
the build-up, they implied that I think it happened once, and Danielson says something like, I've learned a lot over the years, you know what I mean? You're not going to face the same guy you fought, you know, the young whippersnapper you beat up.
Yeah.
Well, he did. And Suzuki, you know, there's a ton of Suzuki matches that were on my list, and I said, I need to trim this down. That guy was on a tear. He went on a tour of butt kicking, and it was so good.
Yeah, the tour for Suzuki was just so great, you know, just showing up in all the different places. And I think the funniest will always be the Suzuki incident where they cut his theme and they turned it somehow into a whole storyline.
Yeah.
I especially loved it because that incident in turn created in a sense, a ripple effect where anywhere he went, they made sure that it didn't happen again. And
yeah.
You know, and the one thing I also liked too was whenever he came out, he was always like looking at the crowd and like telling them, "Oh yeah, you need to listen. You got to get ready for the part. You know, don't."
I've seen him. Yeah.
You know, but really great match and, you know, really hard hitting. You know, Danielson really proving that not only was this like his year because he had such great matches all around, but, you know, cementing his legacy.
Yeah, he's having the matches of his career this late in the game, post WWE. And you know what I'm really appreciative of? How pale he is and how red his chest gets every time he's in one of these types of matches. One thing I was a little irked by is his like insistence on kicking, where, you know, Minoru chops, he kicks, and he's got them giant pillows on his shins. You know what I mean? Those giant like shin guards. Let's go bare bone. Let's go.
Yeah, you know, I think you know, before we move on, I think Danielson very well is like pulling an Undertaker where he's having his best matches, or not really his best matches, but, you know, he's having some great and arguably, you know, top quality matches in his 40s, and it's just like, it's just proving his longevity.
Mm-hmm. And did you hear, Jack, this might be one of the only places we can mention this. Did you hear Shibata's going to be wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom this year?
I heard that as well.
Just when, like, Danielson and Edge kind of find like whatever they needed to go back to wrestling, and maybe what they needed was time. You know what I mean? Maybe what they needed was like to heal properly. Like in the season where we get those two back, and Paige is talking whispers about how good 2022 is going to be. Shibata's like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, and you know,
actually, it's more like, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, and, you know, similar to what you said, I think this is the only place we can bring this up too. I think Gargano on his like Twitch stream even said it himself, you know, that he's taking time away because before you know, his contract expiring and him taking his break, he was going at it straight, no days missed for 7 years. You know?
Dang.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, it's interesting to see that, hey, maybe just one thing a lot of these guys need is time away, you know, even if it's a long time like Edge.
And you know what I heard somebody say about AEW? You know, they got, guys, this roster's getting kind of bloated. And you go, bloated, sure, but there's guys who are gone that we don't miss because of how many people they have and that they're using effectively. So while Trent Beretta comes back, you know what I mean, and the best friends are entangled with the Young Bucks, Miro somewhere healing and going to the Matrix premiere. And you're like, that's right, I haven't seen Miro in forever.
Yeah. So I think that's a real interesting thing they do is the cycling. Yeah. How about your number 6?
My number 6 comes all the way from January 2021. It's from Wrestle Kingdom, and it's the main event of night 2. It's Kodabushi versus Jay White for the double championship.
I remember this match, yeah, and I remember I think what I told you was they might be having this match because they'll know it's the safer pick, and you know it'll be an easier match to wrestle a second night in a row.
Oh, for sure, right? Because Koda fought Naito night 1, and it was brutal. That was that was for the double championships. Naito was walking around with both championships. And I forget the setup, but because they got the 2 nights, they have to create the story of both Kodabushi and Jay White have claim to the championships, right? They did it this year too, Jack. They got Will Ospreay running around calling himself the undefeated, unpinned champion, and you got Shingo walking around with the interim championship. So Here we go. We got 3 men and 2 nights. Easy booking. But I love this match because of Jay White. You know, he was beside himself. Not that heelish, that face they make when they get the 2 count and they're doing math. You know what I mean? They're how though? But Jay White honestly is losing his mind throughout this match. He cannot get over the fact that he can't beat Kodabushi, and it's visibly upsetting him. You know what I mean? Physically. And this is the night that he cusses out the reporters and he quits New Japan. You know what I mean? When they're hey, what's all this mean? So all of that is built from the start of the match and throughout the match. And I was with that guy because honestly, if he won, it'd have been great. But Jay White's just I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it's happening, and I'm sick of this happening. And it was so good. Koda wins. He has his moment. And it's my number 6.
Yeah, I remember that because that was the start of, is Jay White showing up in the Royal Rumble theories? And then it was some of the final moments before Kodabushi ultimately turned heel in the eyes of the fan when he decided to retire those old titles. Or retired them to bring in a new design.
Hey, so you got Shingo with that funny Koda belt. You got Will Ospreay with his own belt, and then you got Okada, who won the G1, walking around with the old belt, saying, "Not only am I going to beat you, but I'm going to bring back what's good." Ooh, yeah. Hey, if I'm still trying to sell you, Jack, on that show that's going to happen in February, Jay White, he fought Christopher Daniels in the main event of Nemesis. And he afterwards got a mic and told everyone, we'll be back in February. And he goes, "Hey, AEW, quit sending your scrubs to me like Christopher Daniels." He says, "I want a real challenge, baby."
Oh, my gosh.
Can you imagine, Jack?
My gosh, I can only imagine what's going to happen by then.
Already making the list for Solis's top 10 matches 2022.
Yeah. Man,
Hey, we're halfway done. What time we got?
We got about 5 minutes.
Hey, look at that. Almost split right down the middle.
Yeah, so do you want to get into number 5, or should we properly split it 10 through 6, 5 through 1?
That one.
All right, then. Well, I guess we'll cut it short here just to save time. We'll cut it short here. That was 10 through 6. Tune into the next episode for episodes 5 through 1.